Hello and welcome to my very first live stream. Thought that I would try something a little bit different with the industrial for the Theseus. It is a very customizable base, so thought that I'd give this a try, see how we can go, get some little explanations. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to do that in a video form where everything's just, this is how I do it, this is why I do it, and it's just a little bit more conversational this way. So this is the Theseus base design. I have a playlist that has the build, elevation changes, and basic electricity, but I hadn't done one yet for the industrial setup. So I thought that I would make this video and just see how everything goes with getting all this information down. If you have any questions, I did just start a Discord as well where you can hit me up, ask any questions you might have. And the link for that should be below as well, once all of that gets set up. I don't know, I'm still new to this. We'll figure it out as we go. Or we won't. Either way. So open core is 8 loot rooms. There are 8 large boxes, enough in each of them. If you wanted to put extra barrels, completely your choice. I do have some extra barrels and boxes down here as well. This is optional. Sometimes I put mixing tables here, sometimes this is completely open. I'll just put like a ring along here of small furnaces. Honestly, it kind of depends on how long I'm playing on the server, how big our group is, how active we are. If we're just playing, like I've built this base on a 3x trio before, and we normally only play about 3 days, so I don't put a huge amount of effort into the industrial, just enough to get us by. And then there are other times when we'll play this for nearly 2 weeks. Obviously, a little bit more effort goes into those ones. So let's set up this. So first things first, everything at the moment, this is the basic design on Builder Sanctuary. So everything is unskinned, well, wouldn't say unskinned, basic skin. So it kind of gives you the freedom to do what you want. I'm going to set this up how I choose to do it. Definitely your call however you wish to change it. So just for some basic information, some of these loot rooms are actually more secure than the other ones. So these ones here to the left, when you're looking at the sets of 4, to the left is your most secure loot room. There's actually 3 walls between that loot room and the outside. This one is 1 wall and 2, hopefully, high-qual doors, potentially to the outside, depending on where the raiders are coming in from. So I will always put my most secure loot in the left-hand side and my slightly less secure loot on the right. It doesn't make them weak loot rooms, it just makes them, if that happens to be where they're blowing in and they're getting lucky, they're not going to get anything terribly special. These middle loot rooms, up the top, you can actually access them from here, so if they're in your open core, you can pick up windows and embushes, loot from here. So there is a method to my madness in how I'm going to set this out. So I just want to provide that information up front. You'll also notice that it's set into 2. So we've got 4 over here, 4 over here. What I like to do is, because of the industrial conveyor restriction, you can only set up a certain number of conveyors in a string, and then it kind of breaks. So I don't typically live in open core, it's mainly storage. And then I pull the stuff downstairs into lockers, first and second store loot rooms, all that kind of stuff. So in order to do that, what I do is I divide my open core in half. It is independently piped that way. So to start off, you find down here. This is the access to your second floor. So what we're going to do is get rid of that extra one. On the opposite side, put your combiner here. So what this is downstairs you'll have your smelters, you'll have your furnaces from the outside, you'll have your drop boxes. All of that stuff gets fed together through combiners, and then you feed it up to this here. So I like to use my pink tool for this because the drop boxes use pink, which for the neon. So I'm just gonna keep that same color scheme, but if you want to stick it with regular basic black, however you feel like. And then on the top here, in your open core, you'll have a splitter. So you have that feed in there, and then your splitter you're going to have left and right. This is where it's going to independently split out. So one way to remember what I do is I do resources, and I do literally everything else on the other half. So let's make this one resources. This is our most secure loot room. So we're going to, yes, I have a lot of skins. We're going to turn this into sulfur, gunpowder, all of that kind of fun stuff. Explosives, however you wish. Next one is going to be metal frags and components. So all of this stuff is essentially what you will need to craft things, and over there is where the things that are already crafted will go. So you may wish to change this here. Like sometimes I'll put wood. If we're in the desert though, I might just turn it into, like, we'll have a farm or something. So we'll have an abundance of teas, whatever. I try to keep all that stuff together. If you can't though, you have to change it based on what your base is. Like, what are you bringing in more of? And over here, nobody cares about stone, nobody cares about ore. You can't build a base with ore. And if you're resealing with stone, I've done that, it sucks, I'm sorry. The reason why I've put metal frags and wood up the top is if I have to seal, if I need this information, these boxes, and I can't get inside this room, I can get it from the outside. That's completely fine. If you're getting raided from underneath and they're blowing your first and second floor, you will lose these triangles, but you won't lose this one. So even if they've blown underneath and they're blowing up, these ones are still here. You'll still be able to access them from this side and from the back side. And then over here, this is where I like to do raid prep. So all the beds will go here, building of fob materials, any of that kind of stuff. Extra grenades, you know, MLGs, smoke grenades, that kind of stuff. Things that I don't want to have to go hunting for. They go in here. This side here is more of the healing meds thing. So if we are getting raided, can't come in here, I go to one side, I can metal frags and wood. Over here, meds, food, cloth, all that other kind of fun stuff. And then we have, technically there's not really a construction skin yet. I'm waiting for it. I'd love to see it. It's not here yet. So I do combine all of the construction, deployables, tools, traps, fun, others, basically most of this lower stuff goes into my electricals and my tools. Over here, same thing. If we're getting raided and we can't get into our open core, you want to still be able to have access to your guns and your ammo. So I split this one up. Guns and ammo, meds, so PvP side, seal side. And then over here, I like to have my armor and clothes on this side. You don't have to if you want to put your guns over here because it is more secure. It's definitely an option. I don't put it there because I want to have the additional backup contingency plan of, oh geez, I can't get in my open core. So that's why I have it there. But if you'd rather have it over here, completely an option as well. So, you know, let me clear up some space. I don't want to be jumping over those things. Alright, so that is our basic setup. So you've got your Dropbox feeding into here, and you'll notice I have on the left side, there are these splitters, and then over here I have the combiners. So each of these has one, but then if you go on this side, basically it's the side that is closest to this splitter, and then it's basically the mirror. So splitters, and then it comes to a head at all of these combiners at the base. So we're going to split it up. So I use red for this side and green for resources. Habit, I don't really have a reason why I do that. It's definitely would be my recommendation to pick a color that you will remember, because it's just going to be more useful later. So I like to try to keep my industrial conveyors up the top half here, just because people don't generally blow this high. So if they're going to raid, they're going to be raiding 3rd and 4th floor. If they're going to raid 4th and 5th floor, it's not going to make any difference. They're going to die. If they're raiding 3rd and 4th floor, conveyors could potentially survive. Have had it happen before where we get raided, I lose the bottom half of my open core. Like these floors here are gone, but my conveyors are still fine, so I can get everything sealed again, put boxes down, repipe everything, and I don't have to do literally the whole industrial again. So you can type in the extra things. I generally tend to skip that this early on. And then you take this over, assuming that, you know, it wants to work. And then what you'll do is always one of these, not you, feeds directly into the next ones. So you have splitter to splitter to splitter to splitter to splitter. So we have a food, meds, tools, and electric for this one. So this one actually does require an additional splitter. So you can take that one up there. This is not the most neatest of contraptions, but it works. And then you just basically, I have a short on this of the different categories, but you can just use, you know, common sense. You're going into food, there's food there. This one is, you want all things medical. You don't have to go through and look for all of your medicals, so instead of typing all of this and all of this kind of stuff, because that would just drive anybody nuts, just type in the parent category. It will grab everything from there. Regrettably, some of the shortcomings for this does mean that rockets and explo ammo will go into your ammo box. You can sort out a self-sanitizing system where it pulls them out, or you can just pull them down into your first floor, which we'll be covering later. And then this one, you know, you set up tools, construction, fun, traps, all that kind of fun stuff. Whatever you feel like combining together. And then once everything is set up like this, you then would put everything into these combiners. Obviously, kind of rushing through this a little bit so that we don't waste too much of your time. So now we have combiners. So this one, we're not actually doing anything with this one just yet. So we're kind of starting here. So if we do want to have something in there, that's awesome. If you don't, you can just start over here. So combiners feed into combiners. So we've got guns and ammo, and we've got clothing. Helps if I can spell, huh? So you just daisy chain whatever you need. So for this one, I generally don't have too many ammo boxes that I need. Because honestly, I don't believe that ammo belongs in boxes. It belongs in lockers. So if I have 6 boxes of ammo, I'm concerned with what my lockers would look like. But I generally have lots of guns, so we're going to put all of these as if they were going to be guns. Sorry, this just wants to be finicky, just because it can be. So we're going to daisy chain, just pretend we have all of that stuff. And then it's basically repeating the same setup over here. So we've got sulfur charcoal, we've got metal frags and comps, we've got wood, ore, and stone. So this one, I like to do green. Again, just personal preference. You can do whatever kind of color setup. I recommend the color, and I'll show you the reason in just a moment. So if you want to, you can also add explosives because fun. And depending on how well your group is doing, you may want to put some extra cloth, leather, low-grade fuel, that kind of stuff. It could be secured over here, or it could be included here in your comps. Really, it doesn't make much difference. I'd recommend leaving it here in your comps if you can. If you're overflowing with comps though, here is definitely extra overflow options. You could move charcoal into these boxes. I generally don't tend to use these until we're swimming in something. So if we're in the snow and we have 5 boxes of stone, I've crafted 3 full rows of stone walls. It's happened. But yeah, you can use these as your extra overflow. Charcoal is another one. Charcoal, wood, and stone tend to be what most commonly goes in those overflows. And then this setup is kind of the same as the other side, you just mirror it. So all of your combiners feed into the combiner into the next one. Sorry, piping is not flawless, but you get the idea. So once all of these doors are closed, pretty sure I just missed a door. I don't generally have, you know, doors where people can see into my loot rooms because they don't need to know which one to boom into in order to get to my sulfur. So I will use a door that doesn't have these peaks generally. I just like this door skin as a general rule of thumb just because it's pretty. It's easy to see at nighttime. And I can see through it to be able to see, should I open this door? Am I going to get shot in the face? So basically the only thing they would see is these pipes underneath. Which, it's an open core. If there's no piping, well, you're not going to expect all that much from a group that doesn't have piping. So anyway, going through, we're going to assume that we are all piped up and ready to go. So what I like to do is then bring this down into my next floor. So you can keep the piping pretty flush. That was weird. Not sure why it's double opening doors. Anyway, so this is the reason why we want to bring this down into our lower floor. So in order to save ourselves a little bit of, we're on 4 joins left. So in order to save ourselves some time and some distance, we're putting those here. So you connect it to this combiner, and then we can basically do the same thing with our green pipe. So this is why I recommended different colors, so that you know what you need to pull. So if you want to pull some extra guns, you'll know you need to grab that from a red pipe. If you want some extra resources, you pull that from the green pipe. And that way you can easily keep track of everything, keep it separated, and figure out what you need to grab from. So just doing a quick review, we have our 3rd floor here, our splitter, or our combiner that's going to bring all of the drop boxes, all of your furnaces that are cooked, and send it up into open core. Your open core is then going to split it in half, where you've got resources on one side, and you've got all crafted materials on the other. And then you're bringing it back down your base into your 2nd floor. So you can turn these into loot rooms, so extra half floors here. You can use ramps if you want. Personally, I hate ramp loot rooms. I understand they're effective and their usefulness. I just think they look ugly. But you can also do this, which is locker bedrooms. It's very modular base. You can change it however you choose. When we first started living in this base, we did have this as our 2nd floor go room, where we would pull down set quantities of guns and everything. So we would have AKs and 5.56, and then we would have guns that use pistols. So there's your Tommies, your MP5s, and then we would have pistol bullets here. We'd have the tier 3 here, so we would be crafting all of the extra explosives. We'd have armor, and we would have like the tier 3 armor box, the tier 2 armor box. We'd have like hazmats, and if we were near the water, we would have diving kits here as well. We'd have kits for helicopter pilots. So it pulls down exact quantities that you need. So there's no, I have to check through 12 boxes to find a full kit. No, it pulls. So you set up your conveyors. You put them along the roof here, and then you have your conveyors to the side, where you say, I want 6 helmets, I want 6 chest pieces, I want 6 hoodies, I want 6 gloves. And it pulls that exact quantity, so you know you have a full kit in that one box. If you're going out, you just want to grab, just grab a tier 2 kit. If you're going out, you're going for a decent fight, it's a lot of loot on the line, you want a tier 3 kit. You know where to go. This design is more for a smaller group now. We still love building it, but we're a smaller group, so we don't need that much space. I don't need to have that many, so I like to keep it in kits here, We do boxes of meds and stuff. We do smoke grenades, F1s, and a whole bunch of other ladders. So basically kind of a raiding kit, just for fun. And then here is where I like to put extra stuff. So this is where our rockets will go, our rocket launchers, all that extra kind of fun stuff. A set quantity of key cards, and the fuses will come down here as well. Food, you know, extra tools. So this one I like to turn into our toolbox. So if you want to go out farming, not only will you find jackhammers and chainsaws, you'll also find pure wood and pure ortiz, all in the one spot, so it's super easy to find. And so I'll bring that stuff down from here. So this is our red one. Sorry, it can go through a door, but it can also be a little finicky sometimes. So if you wanted to do where this is a tier 1 kit, this is tier 2, this is hazmat, that is completely an option. Or if you're super loaded and you just, it doesn't matter what you're going out for, you're going in a tier 3 kit, you can just use the same one. So you can just plug your red pipe into that conveyor and then set it up as whatever you would choose. Tier 1, tier 2, have at it. Who's gonna stop you? It also helps if you spell things correctly. So it's not quite as necessary anymore to do the 111 because it's just not as much of a hassle, but it's still a good habit to have. If you're on a server where it has a higher, like if bullets can go up to 256 and you want them to, meds can go up to 6 and you want them to have 2 stacks, or if you want them to have barricades, you can pull all that because everything that is in those red barrels, which is everything crafted in your open core that's in your red pipe, you can pull down here. You can set up your locker kits however you want. And then it's basically the same thing. So there have been times where I haven't had these 2 bedrooms and I'll basically just have them as extra mixing tables. I'll attach to my green pipe here and I'll pull down 6,000 sulfur and 6,000 charcoal. And that's if I have 3 mixing tables. If I have 8 mixing tables, I'll bring down 16,000. So you want basically what your capacity is. There's no point in grabbing 20,000 sulfur if you only have 2,000 gunpowder or 2,000 charcoal. Well, I suppose you could if you chose to, but then it's just sitting here useless. And it's taking up space when it could be taking up space in your open core. And that's pretty much the basic setup here. So we do have, you know, drop boxes all along the outside. I would recommend don't daisy chain your drop boxes on the outside. There are times when we have had to use those to depot raid loot. The industrial will still survive a healthy chunk of the raid. It goes until like they're in the open core, pretty much. Because we kept the conveyor so high, and it's pretty much this one here. Where's it? This one, this has to go to break everything. Like, it doesn't matter if you've lost some of your boxes, a lot of this will still keep going. So just keep that in mind. Don't daisy chain your boxes, because if you have a daisy chain to come in here before it goes inside, and they blow this one, all of your other boxes are now useless. It's potentially free loot for the raiders. So bring it inside. If you want to have two drop boxes, one here, one in here, or even in here, that's fine. Bring it inside and then daisy chain on the inside before you take it up. Don't daisy chain on the outside. Yeah, so that is all the notes that I can think of right now. If you do happen to have any questions, feel free to join my Discord, ask any questions. I would be happy to help with anything. It doesn't have to be Theseus base related, it can be pretty much anything base related. I'm happy to help. Thank you so much and good luck. Have a fantastic wipe.